Hey coders, we're going to go ahead and do the lesson 18 walkthrough. Okay, so in lesson 18, we're going to talk about collisions, probably more fancier collisions here. Let's go ahead and look at the lesson overview and get started here. So you guys already learned about how sprites might interact, but we're going to review a little bit about is touching and maybe brainstorm some other ways that two sprites could interact. So we're going to talk about how maybe one sprite maybe push another sprite over, and then we'll talk about the four different type of collisions. Okay, so we had is touching. Now we're going to have collide, displace, bounce, and bounce off, and we're going to distinguish them so that you understand what that is. Okay, you're going to see that it's going to have very similar code. You're going to have the name of the sprite. You're going to basically ask if it bounced off the target. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so far you've been able to create simple sprite interactions using is touching. For example, you reset a coin to a different location on the screen when the character touches it, like we did in our last lesson. Now it's time to start making sprites have more complex interaction. So run the program and let's see what is going on. Okay, so now we see basically a giraffe push a monkey. So we're going to discuss with our neighbor, or in case this time you're going to discuss with yourself, or maybe you want to discuss with your neighbor, using only the commands that we know. How will we be able to do this? Okay, so let me think in my mind. So if the giraffe touches the monkey, change the velocity of the monkey to the velocity of the giraffe. I think that's how you would do it. Okay, that's my thinking. Let's go ahead and go to bubble number three, or bubble number three. Okay, so in bubble number three, you should have discussed with your teammates how this might have been done. Now it's your turn to see if it works. See if you can make the giraffe move the monkey off the screen. So right now, without any code, the giraffe touches or even probably goes through the monkey. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can program this. So my belief or my thinking is that if the giraffe is touching the monkey, in this case, monkeys is like that, do something. Okay, so I think the only code we need is to change the monkey's velocity. So monkey dot velocity, I think in this case it's just x, and give it and assign it the value of giraffe dot there's one r, two e's, giraffe dot velocity x. So basically, how fast a giraffe is going, it's going to give that value to the monkey. And even before we run the code, I'm actually going to see if I can trace this value. So I'm going to put the giraffe ones first and add it here with the little plus button. And I'm going to track the velocity of the monkey. So if my prediction is correct, okay, if my prediction is correct, the giraffe's velocity will be some number, in this case 1, and the monkey's velocity is 0. And then when the monkey or the giraffe touches the monkey's velocity will change to 1 as well. Let's go ahead and run. So the giraffe is 1, the monkey is 0, and when the giraffe touches the monkey velocity also becomes 1. And that looks like the giraffe is pushing the monkey. Okay, so yeah, kind of got lucky there on my first guess. Let's go to bubble number 4. Okay. In bubble number 4, in the last level, you learned how to write code to Sprite Interaction developed with your classmates. Try writing the program on your own, but now use the pattern you saw on the last level. Okay. So the elephant should push the hippo off the screen. Notice that the elephant moves in a random y velocity each time the program runs. Using the pattern from the last level, write the code for the elephant. Okay. So basically, we want the same thing to happen. We want the elephant to push the hippo. So let's go ahead and write the same type of code. So if the elephant is touching the hippo, give the y value of the hippo, or assign the y value of the hippo, or the velocity y, I'm sorry, the velocity y of the hippo, and assign it the y velocity of the elephant. And let's see if our code works. And there you have it. The elephant now pushes the hippo. Okay, make sure you guys hit finish when you're done. Let's go to bubble number 5. In bubble number 5, the interaction you've been programming is so common that there is a block design for the interactive, and we call it Displace. So that will make one sprite push the other when they touch. The code underlying this block might look a lot like what you wrote, but now you no longer have to write it over and over and over again. So someone tried to use Displace block to make the elephant push the hippo, but there's a bug. Can you change the code so that the elephant pushes the hippo off the screen? Find the line of code where they use the Displace block and see if we can fix it. So the Displace box is right here. So hippo displaces elephant. So if we hit run, the hippo displaces the elephant. Okay. According to this, make it the blocks that the elephant push the hippo. So basically all we need to do is go ahead and kind of swap this around. So I'm going to control X to take away elephant, put it over here, copy the word hippo, control X, and then control V to paste it right here. And basically I just switched the order. So now I think the elephant should push the hippo. Okay, so basically the one that's going to do the pushing is going to be on the left. The one that's going to be pushed is the one on the right. Okay, so make sure you understand the order. So this elephant will displace the hippo or push the hippo. Okay, let's go to bubble number 6. Okay, so 3 new types of sprite. Actually, let's go back to the code real quick. I want to kind of go back and kind of dig a little bit deeper. Notice that in our code, we have no if statement. Okay, so simply by saying displace, if they ever collide, the elephant will always displace the hippo. Okay, so simply by displacing using this command, it is telling our code underneath the hood that if the elephant is touching hippo, change the velocity of hippo to the velocity of elephant. Okay, so that's how that code works. So let's go back to bubble number 6. In bubble number 6, there are 3 new types of interactions that we have created. We're going to talk about collide, bounce, and bounce off. How do you think they affect the sprites? So switch out the displace block for the sprite collide, the bounce, and the bounce off. Okay. And then after that, discuss with your neighbor how it's going to look different. So right now we just have displace, right? So we expect the parrot to push the penguin, right? But now let's go ahead and change it to one of these. So instead of displace, we're going to do collide and see how it works. Okay, so when they collide, the penguin pushes the parrot. Okay, so let's see it again. So the penguin pushes the parrot. Okay, and maybe that's by design, maybe because, the order matters. So basically, maybe it's the opposite of 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 uh, of what we had before of displace. So collide says if the parrot collides with the penguin, the parrot gets the bad side of it. The parrot is the one that gets pushed. Okay. And I don't see anything else in the code that says why the penguin should have won besides the order. So collide is probably going to be the opposite of displace. So if you want the parrot to be displaced by the penguin, you can use parrot.collide. And I think that's how it works. I'm not sure either. That's just my guess. Let's go to what bounce might do. Let's go ahead and change it to bounce. So bounce. Okay. And let's see what happens. So bounce seems that if they collide or is touching, they both get each other's velocity. So let's go ahead and maybe change numbers a little bit. So let's make the parrot go a little bit faster and the penguin a little bit slower and see who goes faster. Let's change it to 4. Let's see who gets faster after the bounce. Okay, so it looks like basically the penguin or the parrot was faster, and after they hit, the penguin is faster. So basically, bounce seems to transfer the speed of each other to each other. So when they hit, penguin becomes 4 and parrot becomes -2. And how do we make sure this is what's happening? Let's go ahead and open up our watch window. So I'm going to copy this right here, parrot.velocityx, put it in our watch window, add that. And let's go ahead and change velocity of penguin in here and add that. So let's go ahead and run the program again and see if the numbers kind of swap. Boom. Okay, let's do it again. So boom, right? So the program starts and it starts at 4, -2, and then goes to -2, 4. Okay, so just like I thought. Let's go ahead and do the last one, bounce off. So let's go bounce, but now it's going to put the word off in here. And actually just keep our watch and see how this works. Okay, so it looks like the one in the parentheses, the penguin, is still going to keep the same speed. However, it seems like the parrot goes all the way to -8. So if you look at these numbers, 4 and -2, how do you suppose that works? Okay, so 4 times 2 is going to be 8. So basically it's saying the parrot is so weak, it will always bounce off the penguin. Okay, the parrot will always bounce off the penguin. So the penguin doesn't change speed, but the parrot will get magnified by the power of the penguin. So let's go ahead and try some of these ourselves. Let's go to bubble number 7. There are 4 types here: displace, collide, bounce, bounce off. These blocks will cause a certain type of interaction between the sprite and its target. Do this. Choose the best block to model the basketball bouncing off the floor. You can try different blocks out and read about it in this tab. Let's go ahead and hit run. Okay, so right now the ball just kind of falls down and goes to the floor. But what do we want to happen? So we have 2 sprites. We have wood and we have basketball. So what do you think a basketball does? Does it displace? Does it collide? Does it bounce? Or does it bounce off? Well, I think a basketball bounces, right? So let's try one of these. So let's go basketball. And let's use bounce. Okay. And if I remember correctly, I think it's going to like make the wood and the basketball switch places. So let's go ahead and actually, before we even run the code, because we can run the code and try it, but let's actually just see what the velocity of the basketball is and add it here and add the velocity of the wood. So even though you don't see it here, it's going to be something like wood dot velocity y. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the plus button here. So at the beginning of the game, the ball's going to have 5, the wood's going to have 0, And let's see, by adding this bounce would, let's see what happens. Okay, so basically bounce, again, switches the velocity of the ball in the wood. And I don't think anyone's strong enough to hit the floor down to the ground like that. Okay, so I think what we want is probably bounce off, right? We don't want the wood to move at all, but we want the basketball to basically bounce off the wood. And let's see what happens now. And there we have it. Okay, all right, let's go bubble number 8. All right, in double number 8, we're going to debug Sprite Interaction. So Sprite Interaction is just run the code and see what happens, right? But the interactions are not remembered by the game. So if you want one sprite to bounce or collide with another, then it needs to be part of a draw loop. If you forget, then this can lead to unexpected behavior. So in this example, the turtle can be moved with the arrow keys. It is not supposed to be able to walk through the tree, but something is wrong with the code. Can you find it and correct it? Let's go ahead and run the code and see what happens. Okay, so I have this turtle and I have arrows here, and I touch the tree and nothing happens, right? Nothing happens. Look through the code and discuss what the problem is. So the code basically creates a background and lets us move left, lets us move right, lets us move down and up, but nothing. Oh, there's a code right here that says the turtle collides with tree. Okay, turtle collides with tree. So why isn't the turtle colliding with the tree? Okay. Well, maybe it is colliding, right? But it's not doing it every single time inside the draw loop. You guys remember that the collide is probably underneath the hood an if statement, and this if statement has to work or be checked every single time inside the draw loop. So now if we copy and paste turtle into the tree, maybe the turtle now will actually collide with the tree. Okay, so now this turtle will not be able to collide with this tree. Okay, let's go ahead and hit reset, and I'm going to go to number 9 and see what happens. So basically all we did was take out the code from line number 7 and put it inside the draw loop. Okay, let's go ahead and go to bubble number 9. All right, in bubble number 9, sometimes sprites will behave in different ways than expected. There's a special Sprite.debug property that you can better understand why the sprites interact the way that they do. The two coins are round, so you would expect them to bounce in a certain way. Something weird is happening though. Run the code and watch it, and use the debug block to set it to true and run the code again. So here's our two coins, and they bounce and they go kind of like deflecting opposite directions here. Okay, so let's see why that is. So let's go ahead and reset, and instead of false, we're going to put true. And instead of false, we're going to put true. And let's see now what's going on. Okay, so it's corner to corner, and it makes it look a little bit weird. Change the gold coin starting exposition to 51 and run the code. So this is the gold coins sprite, and instead of starting at 49 for the X value, let's change it to 51. Now run the code. Okay, so just by changing the code a little bit, the coins kind of go in different directions. What do you think the coins are? What is the coins bouncing strangely? Okay, why do we suppose by looking at this, it just looks weird, right? We don't think two coins hitting like that will actually do that. So what's making it look so weird? Okay, well, probably because our coins are round, right? And the hitbox is squares. So squares bounce differently than round objects. Okay, So let's go ahead and go to the next bubble and see if we are correct. Sprites interact based on the size and shape of the collider, not the images that they're assigned to them. So you can only see the collider by the debug mode is turned on. So let's go ahead and change the collider. Okay, so there's a command called set collider block, which lets you pick a rectangle or a circle. By default, the colliders are rectangular. So basically, we're going to change the hitbox to something circular. So let's go ahead and look at the set collider here, which is going to be on line number 6. And we're going to change it from rectangle to circle. So let's go ahead and change it to circle. And let's see now if this changes the way that this code runs. Okay, and it actually says we're going to change for the silver coin too. So I'm going to copy and paste this, line number 6, into like line 13. But change gold into silver here to save time. And let's see now if the coins collide in a more predictable manner. Okay, that definitely is a lot more predictable, right? Two round objects kind of hitting in exactly the same projectile should bounce off each other. Okay, so this looks definitely more realistic. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that we can actually change the hitbox to something like a circle instead of a rectangle. Let's go number 11. Okay, so far bounce off has made sprites bounce away from other objects as fast as they bounce into them. In the real world, almost every slowed down just a little bit when it bounces off something else. So you can use the bounciness block to tell your sprite how much to slow down or speed up when it bounces off something. So read the code below, hit the run button to see what the behavior is like. Now we're going to use the bounciness block to set the bounce up to soccer ball. Run the code and see it again. So as you can see, I don't think the soccer ball has any bounciness, right? So it's just going to keep on bouncing forever and ever and ever, like perpetual motion. And let's go ahead and see what's doing that. We have a bounciness for basketball. We have a bounciness for pool, but we have no bounciness for soccer ball. So let's go ahead and copy and paste the bounciness part here. And go ahead and add that. So we have a soccer ball now. And we're going to give it some bounciness. So I'm going to Control V. And I'm going to give it some value. So let's go ahead and give bounciness, I don't know. Do we think a basketball is probably bouncier than a soccer ball? So let's try some number like 0.6 or 0.6. And let's see if that makes more sense to what we expect to happen. Yeah. So the bigger the number, the more bouncier it is. The smaller the number, the less bouncy it is. And I think if you have a bounciness of 1, the ball will just be bouncing forever. If you bounce it a number bigger than 1, it's actually going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as it bounces. So like anti-gravity. Okay, that would be my prediction. Let's go to number 12. All right, so flyer game. So we're going to add obstacles. So this is the flyer game you built in the last lesson. But for this next several levels, you're going to be adding obstacles in the game using some of the sprite interactions you just learned. At the end, you'll have a chance to keep adding ideas of your own. So let's go ahead and add an obstacle to the sprite of the game. You can use whatever image you like from the animation tab, but example shown here uses a sun. Right now, you just need to add sprites to your game and give it animation. So let's go ahead and add some sprites to your game and call it obstacle. In the animation tab, create a new animation for your obstacle. In the example here, the sun is shown. So use the set animation block to kind of choose a sprite you want, run the code and see how it works. Okay. So in my game before, I had like these 2 coins and a bad coin, and they just want me to create more obstacles to make it harder. So I'm just going to see what's in my animation tab right now. In my animation tab, I just have a flyer, a coin and our bad coin. Let's go to add new animation. And let's see if there's anything that we can use to make it like an obstacle. What makes it like, oh, look, there's an obstacle, whole section here. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and add uh, let's go ahead and add a rock. Let's go and add a rock. Okay. So let's go to our code, and let's maybe go add another one, because you want more than one obstacle. So maybe let's go add let's go add another rock. Like just add rocks on the bottom and on the top. How about that? Okay. So basically, this program says create some and then give it some animation. So I'm just going ahead and create some obstacles here. So I'm going to do var obstacle. Let's do obstacle 1. And let's go ahead and create the sprite. And I'm going to put let's make it the top one here. So I'm going to make the X value, I don't know, 200. And make the Y value 0. And I'm going to go ahead and set the obstacle. And let's go ahead and set animation. And I have a rock 1 here. I think rock 1 is the one that is going the wrong way. Actually, I probably want to use the other one. So I'm going to take out this. I want to use the other rock grass down here, because it's going to be at the top right here. And let's go ahead and see what happens. Did I spell it wrong? Yes, obstacle 1. So now I have an obstacle right here. Oh, and I want to cover up the score. Let's go make it, I don't know, 100. So now I have an obstacle. And right now the obstacle doesn't do anything, but it's at least visually there. And let's go ahead and add an obstacle somewhere over here. Okay. So I'm basically going to copy and paste the same code. Okay. And go right here. But this time, instead of 100, let's go 300 on the Y position and 300 in the X position. And let's call it obstacle 2. And let's go ahead and change the animation to the other rock. And I think what that will do, not always sure, when you're programming like this, kind of programming blind, I think it's called rock 1. Let's see, rock underscore 1. Okay, so rock underscore 1. And let's see if this works. Yep. So I have an obstacle up here that I can, well, I just see. I don't actually run into it, but at least I see it. And this is going to make my level a little bit harder. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of step 1. In step 3, well, you don't want your player to be able to move through the obstacle. Let's go ahead and give it some interaction. So add code here again that prevents your player from moving through the obstacle. If you use one of the bounce interactions, decide what the bounciness is. Discuss with your neighbor. Which interaction do you expect? So I expect that the rocks are not going to move, but the player will collide with it. So my feeling is I'm going to go into the code and I'm going to go down, right before the draw loop or something. Maybe even before that. Let's go ahead and put it above it. So after you draw the background and after the score, let's go ahead and put some code here. So I'm going to actually put some comments. So let's just go code for collisions. Okay. So I think that the best and most obvious way for these to interact is that character dot collides with my obstacles. So obstacle 1, I'm going to copy this code and do it for the same thing for obstacle 2. And I think that's the one that makes the most sense. Let's go ahead and run. And now when I play my game, I kind of hit the obstacle. Now the obstacle might have a really bad collision detection here, right? it's not supposed to be this box this big, right? And the same thing goes over here. I can kind of go around it. So these are not very good obstacles, to be honest. These obstacles, don't really look like I'm colliding, but I'm colliding with them anyway. So maybe we should put boxes or something. Okay, but at least it works, right? It's doing what I expect it to do. Let's go to bubble number 14. Right now, your coin is moving in random locations. This means sometimes even it appears behind your obstacles, so your character can't get into it. Using the sprite interactions, you can fix this problem. Add code to your program that prevents the coin from moving behind the obstacle. Don't be afraid to try out ideas and see how they work. Okay, so basically right now, if you run the program, sometimes the coins, like this one, it's going to be stuck in an obstacle. And basically, it's just going to get stuck there over and over and over again. So how do we fix this? Okay, how do we fix this? So let's go ahead and try adding more collision. So let's try just adding coin collision. So let's go with coin. I believe I have coin and coin 2. Let's say coin 2 also collides with obstacle 1 and obstacle 2. And let's go ahead and just run our program and see if this prevents the coins, or the first coin, from being inside the rock. And the problem is I can't know which one's which. Let's see. It seems like one coin has been able to avoid it. Let's try both coins. So I'm going to copy this, paste it, and let's do coin 2. So basically none of the coins should be able to be inside any of the obstacles. And let's go ahead and reset, run, and I don't think the coins will be permitted to be inside our obstacles again. So that's kind of how it works, right? If you add collide, even when it spawns somewhere random, it's going to collide with it and kind of push it left or right. Okay, and that's kind of good. All right, maybe now let's try some other stuff. Bubble number 15. Right now your colliders are all rectangular. Switch them over to circles to get a more interesting and realistic bounce and collision. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set the colliders to all circles. So we're going to change of our sprite. So change the colliders of your sprite to circles. So we have all these here. So it's going to use character dot set collider. Okay, and then we're going to put circle. Okay, circles. Is it circle or capital C or lowercase c? Let's just try it. We really can't see it. Maybe we need to turn our debug. Let's go ahead and turn on debug and see if the colliders of our colliders are working. Yeah, it works. Okay, oh, forgot my semicolon there. Right, so now the collider of my thing is a circle. Let's see if I can do the same thing to the obstacle one. I'm going to just copy and paste it. So set collider into a circle. And let's actually do the same thing. Let's turn the debug on. So I'm going to go to obstacle 1 and just see if I turn the debug to true and see if I can see that the hitbox or the collider now is a circular one. So I can sort of go around it like this, but this is still not very good. I think the best ones to be circles are obviously the coins. So let's go ahead and do that for the coins. So let's go ahead and use set collider for the coins. So coin dot set collider to circles. Let's do the same thing to coin 2. So coin 2, control paste, make that a circle. I think now we're going to have pretty good collisions of the coins. It just makes more sense for things that are round. And let's make it go ahead and do it for, oh, it looks like the bad coin too. So our bad coin doesn't have this collision detection. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this and make our bad coin also collide with the obstacles. And the same thing here. Okay, so now the bad coin's not going to spawn in there. The colliders is probably going to be also a circle. So let's go ahead and change the bad coin collider to a circle as well. Make sure you have the dot there. We can probably get rid of the circle for the obstacles. I don't think circles really make sense for the spiky mountains anyway. But let's see. If they're going to make us do any improvements, maybe we'll change these obstacles to boxes, and that will make our game much more realistic. Time to make this game your own. So basically now we can go ahead and do something. Add at least one of these things to your game. There are some ideas here. You can choose if you choose to do your own. Make sure you're ready to share your ideas with your classmates. Create invisible sprites at the edge of your game to keep your character from bouncing out. Add platforms to your game to make sure your character can navigate around. Add another obstacle to your game. Create another idea of your own. So we have all these ideas. And I kind of like the fact that, I don't like my characters bouncing out of the screen. Let's go ahead and actually do that. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and change rock. I kind of don't like these rocks anymore. So let's go ahead and add the obstacles of glass, something that's rectangular. So maybe we'll go like glass frame here. We'll do glass, and then we'll do add another one. We'll do obstacles. Let's do the glass frame. So now we have these two new obstacles that are rectangular in nature. So let's go and go to code. Instead of using rock glass here, we're going to use, where is it? Come on, pop up. Oh my God, it's not popping up for me. All right, so what is it? It's called glass _1. So I'm going to go in here and type it in because I don't know why this thing does not allow me to see my sprites anymore. And obstacle 2 is going to be called glass _frame, glass _1. I really hate those names. I should have changed those names already. So obstacle 2 is going to be glass _frame _1. And now when we run our program, we have these, more rectangular obstacles. Okay. So let's go ahead and actually do this one. I kind of like this one. Create invisible sprites at the edge of the walls. Okay. So your character will always bounce off it. So this is going to be kind of hairy, but it's going to be actually pretty easy to create. So let's go ahead and create some sprites. So var, I'm going to call it left boundary. And it's going to be equal to a random sprite. And let's give it some values. So create sprite. And I can actually set the value. So I'm going to set this thing 0, 0, and let's make the width of it 400 on the left boundary. Let's make the height of it 400. Let's just make it, I don't know, 5 pixels or 2 pixels. Let's do 1 pixel. And let's make the height 400 pixels. So if I do this, let's see what the left boundary looks like. Okay, I think you can see it right here. Okay, let's go ahead and make it a little bit closer. Let's go 1. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Let's make it 2 pixels. So you can see now that I have a boundary right here. Okay, but I want it to be a width of 400 or a height of 400. Oh, it's probably using the average. So this is going to be the center of it. So to put this right here, I need to make the y value 200. So now let's see it. Yeah, so now there's a boundary right here, right? And it's supposed to be invisible. So to make it invisible, I just need to make it like, I don't know, 1 pixel or something, right? And now you barely even see it. You can make it even 0 pixels if you want. I don't think it really changes the fact that it's this gives it default size. Let's go and just make it let's make it 2 pixels, but just make it go off the screen a little bit here, and you don't even see it anymore, right? You don't even see my wall. But now that we have this left boundary here, we can make the character collide with the boundary. So now we're going to do a collide, and we can do left boundary. Okay. So now if our character hits that side of the wall, he should not be able to go through. And maybe for fun, let's make it bounce. How about instead of collide, let's make him bounce off the left boundary. So now he's more like a ping pong ball. That did not work. So let's see. Character bounce left. Oh, bounce left boundary. So we push the left boundary. I think we want bounce off. How about that? So now if I hit the left side of the wall, I get bounced back like a ping pong ball. Okay. And now all we have to do is basically do the same thing on all 4 sides. Okay. And then we will have like a bouncy game here. So let's try that. So I'm just going to copy and paste basically the same idea for the right boundary. Okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste, but instead of doing left, I'm going to do right. And instead of being placed on this side, I'm going to place it on the other side. So the other side is going to be like 402, right? It's going to be like off the screen a little bit. And now I have a left boundary here that I'm going to bounce off of. And now I'm going to add that collision detection there. Basically copy and paste the same thing. But now I'm going to call it right boundary. And let's go ahead and see now I bounce off both sides. So bounce, bounce. So now I'm literally like a ping pong ball. But I don't have a top boundary or a bottom boundary quite yet, right? So let's go ahead and fix that. So let's go ahead and let's just add one more top boundary. So in case I hit the top of the screen, I'm going to, leave the bottom of the screen, maybe make the bottom of the screen like death or something. And maybe the top of the screen, I'll make it a bounce too. So let's go ahead and make a bounce for the top boundary here. Equals create sprite. Now this one's a little bit interesting because I want to place it on the top here, like in the center. So right here is about 200, 0. So 200, 0. And instead of it being 2 pixels in width, we're going to make it 400 pixels in width and only 2 pixels in height. So if I hit reset, you can kind of see it right here. This may move it up a little bit. Let's go to the -2. And that will make it go off the screen. And now you don't see my top boundary anymore. And now I'm just going to add that to my character. And make it top boundary here. Now we have created pretty close to a game now. So now I can bounce off the right wall. I can bounce off the left wall. I can still fall down. Maybe I'll make the invisible sprite that if I touch it, I die or something like that. Right now, I seem to be stuck from getting certain coins. So maybe what I'll do is make the obstacles kind of more in the middle, right? Because I can't seem to fall down this hole. So a few bugs in my code here that I can do. Maybe I'll make the obstacle 1, a little bit more space, and let's go like 150. And maybe move this like to 250 and now hit run. So now I actually have room to kind of bounce off, get underneath here and try to jump. You can be, creative here. The idea is that you're creating ideas to um, for your game. So maybe I'll add a bottom boundary or something. And if I fall down to the bottom, I die or something like that. Maybe I can make this one a little bit maybe higher, so like 250 or something, and make this one a little bit, maybe a little bit more to the right or something. Let's make it like 200. Maybe we'll make a box around the score, so you can't even touch the score. So something like that. Like that. Oh, I bounced off. Go here. Bounce off here. Okay, anyway, this is your time to play and design, make your own game. I'll probably give you guys 2 days to finish this, so you don't guys, have to rush. And feel free to explore and make your own version of your own game, and kind of go back and add these features that you just learned into your current game, your final project. So now this idea of bouncing and whatnot and collisions will really turn your interaction level really high. Okay, so this is kind of cool. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and end this video and go ahead and give you guys time to work on your projects and all these concepts that you just learned.